everybody. Welcome back to the Nora Seroussi Show. Now, if any of you saw the note today, you're going to figure out what are they discussing. First, I'm going to introduce my guest, who is an entrepreneur and a philanthropist, and his name is Mike Costache. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, good evening. How are you, Nora?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, my pleasure. So we put a title on the show. I want you to explain how this came about.
Right. So when I was 18, I took a class in economics, and the professor was trying to teach us about philanthropy. I don't know why exactly, but he said there was a study whereby most people wake up around 45 to start doing philanthropic work. And I was 18, so I went and looked it up. And I went to the career center at my college, and I started planting trees, started painting kindergartens, not really understanding why I'm doing it. Just thought of, what can I do? I could donate my time. And ever since then, I've always been involved with social causes, whether it's donating, attending charity balls, which is how you and I met 14 years ago.
I know there's a picture somewhere.
And then I decided that everything that I do has to have a social cause. And everything that any company that I'm involved in has to give money or time or resources to those that are in need.
Okay, now I did a little reading and I found out some things. And by the way, today when I was reading, I got a message from my friend Bonnie. Pepperdine is closed, everything, a lot of things in LA are closed, even the agency CA and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And also, I think you studied in Baltimore, where my sister lives.
Yeah, I studied my high school in New Jersey, my elementary school in Petah Tikva in Israel for 3 years, and then my elementary school here, sorry, that was my junior high, was in Israel. Elementary school was in Romania, right here in Sector 4. And then I went to college 1 year at Rutgers in Newark, New Jersey, 1 semester at Loyola College in Baltimore, and then the last 2.5 years in Malibu at Pepperdine University.
You like to move around.
Yeah, you know, when you get scholarships and America's pretty big, I wanted to go travel.
I think that's a great experience.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, you get the chance to travel. Obviously not right now because it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
At this point in time with everybody shutting down.
Yeah.
But I encourage people, travel. It's so important. You know, I'm going to tell you just a little anecdote. When I was married in America, and we did a little survey in my house. This is very interesting. So I asked everybody, would you rather get like a big, and I don't mean the big, I mean like the huge projector screen TV, or 2 round the world tickets, paid, you know, first class. Guess what everybody wanted? The TV. I was like, but why don't you get on the plane where you can go and smell it and taste it? You just see it like that. And at that time, this was in the 90s, the percentage of Americans, you'd be shocked. You know what was the percentage that had passports? Take a wild guess.
Percentage that had passports?
That had American passports.
Of Americans?
Yes.
Maybe less than half.
5%.
5%.
5%.
Well, a lot of people
When
think...
I was there and I heard that figure, and I heard it from the immigration people, I could not believe it. 5%. So, and I understood why, because you talk to the people and they tell you, you know, we can't find this, we can't find that. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Every country has its own smell. Now, for the people who've traveled, they will understand that, because you go to a different country, you get off the plane, and they have different smells. The people look different. You can recognize how the people dress. I mean, you know, you get used to that when you start to travel.
Yeah.
And they're just content to watch it on thing, and I'm like, no.
On Jerry Springer.
That was then. No.
Well, listen, when I was 18, I looked it up. I said, look, how many countries in the world? 248. I looked it up in Yahoo back then. There was no Google when I was 18.
Oh, you did the hard way.
Yeah, yeah. And I said, okay, I'm 18. I've been to Romania, Israel, and America, 3 countries of 248. How many years do I have alive? About 82 years, assuming I'm going to live till 100. Took that, divided by that many countries. I said 3 new countries per year. By the time I die, I would have seen the whole globe. So now I'm at 80 countries.
Ambitious.
I'm at 80 countries, and I preach this to a lot of people to go visit. But you know, when you go to different countries, you can't just go in a hotel and go do the touristic things and think that you saw that country. You got to mingle with the locals. You got to go do what they do. Hopefully, live with the local if you have friends from college, or just look up people and get referrals, and not just stay in a hotel and go see the touristic things. That's my main thing.
I want to say something. You know what we did, and this is an idea, it worked for us. When we go to a place, I usually try and book through one of these Get Your Guides or something, the walking tour. And they'll take you into places that you would never usually see. And you go and have a little coffee. I mean, very unique. I love that. That was terrific. And I recommend that. And I think it's great that you want to. I love when people say, I want to travel.
Yeah.
Now it's changed and people are seeing more of the world, even Romania. I mean, I remember from years ago till now, there's a whole different experience for the
Romania
people.
gets about 1 million tourists a year from abroad, and Romania has about 8 million tourists if you consider the locals going from county to county, city to city. So tourism here was good. Now it's not doing so good. I mean, Bucharest is what, 183 hotels, and they were thriving for a while, and then the crisis came in 2008. They weren't thriving, and then they just got back on last few years, and now again they're all empty. So a lot of hotels are going to be shutting down entire floors to conserve on energy and costs.
All right, we have to talk about what's happened now because people are getting the gist of it. So we have had the kids' school canceled. I'm not sure what's going to happen now, but I know that they're talking about keeping everybody at home. I have to say I'm surprised because in England my sister's kids' school is still open and they're still going around. I did go to the supermarket today and find nothing there, I will say. So that was like, wow, this is like Florida getting hit by a hurricane and the hurricane warning, and they'll empty everything.
Yeah.
So I know you have been through some things, and I've been through some things, and maybe that's why, because we're Americans, I'm American Canadian, you're American, I think Israeli.
And I'm Romanian, yeah.
I'm Romanian, and I have actually been in a quarantine when I was 17 and a half in camp. I have been through the Gulf War and given that big, huge gas mask and freaked when I saw that and with all the scuds falling. I went through the floods and the fires and the riots and the earthquakes in LA, and I've done the 3 weeks eating out of cans and all that. So, I'm kind of, I don't say used to it and I don't want to get used to it, but I'm much more
prepared and
probably a lot more relaxed. But I really sense the panic here. Do you feel it?
I feel it because a lot of people are talking about it. I'm trying to remain calm. There's a picture in here with my mother, my brother, and myself wearing a gas mask from January of '91 during Gulf War I. Mm-hmm. Israel, as most people may recall, was bombed 17 days straight, about 163 bombs, and we had to wear this mask, 3, 4, 5 times a day. That's the only thing we didn't take from Israel after we left. We left only those 5 boxes for my parents, my brother, my sister. We left those 5 boxes in the apartment, and we just said goodbye. And that was it in '92. But I lived that. I remember the cost of masking tape, where people were using it to put on windows in case there was a bomb that would, explode nearby, and the glass should not fall on you. And it went from 50 cents to $5. Same thing with the masks. The dentist mask that people are using all day today.
Yeah, did you see what happened?
Used to be $2, now it's $20, and you can't find it anywhere. So that's my wife.
Valentina.
So it is scary. Most people in America are still just getting a hold of a grasp of what's going on. But if you're in Italy, you're flipping out. If you're in China, you're already psychologically really you need help. Having been blocked in your own house for over a month. So it is a scary part. I've been telling all my friends to. Unfortunately, as much of an economist as I try to be, stop spending money on anything that you don't need. Obviously don't buy homes, don't buy cars, don't buy any of this thing. Now, this doesn't sound good because we live in a very consumerism type of a world. I was in Amsterdam last week, and it was the first time where I actually didn't feel bad that I would buy something to help the local economy, right? Because if everything halts, there's a ripple effect and a domino effect that will put us at 30–40% lower GDP worldwide than last year. And that's going to be catastrophic. So the most important thing is obviously to stay home with your loved ones and not spread possible germs that you may have caught without you even knowing, and stop spending money on anything you don't need, which is a bad advice.
Okay, so that's advice we should listen to. Stop spending money on anything you don't need. Okay, well, I don't see I was in the mall today, and I have to say it was very, very quiet. The restaurants are empty, and there is a knock-on effect there, and we don't know how long it'll be. That's the other.
Look, Trump has been printing $100 billion a month since he took office. Okay, the U.S. foreign national debt went up from 17 trillion to 20 trillion just in the last 3.5 years. So right now, the U.S. is going to print even more money. I mean, 8.3 billion just to combat this epidemic, and it's going to be a lot of money printing all over the world. Because when the economies stop, because people stop spending, there's not many measures that governments can take other than just print more money, which brings more inflation. So the cost of bread is probably going to be, it could go up 10 times in the next month if things really hold. So I'm not trying to scare anyone, I'm just trying to be rational and let's learn from the past. I lived like that for 17 days where everything stopped. I mean, literally everything stopped. Nobody spent money on anything other than food and gas if you had to travel with your car.
Okay, when I was in LA, we were home.
Right.
Nobody went out. There was...
Yeah, you're talking about 92, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, nobody went anywhere. The first thing we did was run and take out the car from the garage.
Yeah.
And that was it. You didn't move, you didn't go out. There was curfew. It was
I landed in America my first time at the age of 14 in March of 92, and a few months later was the Rodney King beating with the 4 white cops.
That's when the curfew was.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it.
Who were acquitted by a judge, and then everybody went crazy. And I was.
Do you know I was in downtown LA that day?
Yeah.
I never go.
Yeah.
It was. I'm going to tell you this story quickly because I had never go downtown LA, but that day I can't remember, I had something to do, and we didn't have mobiles in those days. And I was driving, not realizing the city is like burning behind me. And I think, my God, what if I'd been another 2 hours? This is really, again, you know, fate. I get home, my sister's hysterical. I turn on the news because I didn't hear it. I was listening to my music, driving home, happy. And the whole city's burning. And then they were burning Watts, and then they said, no, we're going to go into Beverly Hills and Westwood. And all heck broke loose. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
That's when they put in curfew. That's what it was. I've never seen anything like it, but there was a huge
I hope
backlash.
people will be more rational and follow what some people in government are telling us to do, which is to stay put and let's hope that as the warm weather comes in and as this bacteria doesn't spread as much and this virus is contained, and hopefully as mad scientists or good scientists out there are combined, they're working on a solution. But you know, they're estimating it could take 3 to 6 months to just start deploying whatever the medicine is that needs to be produced. So anyway, that's there's not much more I want to say about it because it's just going to create more panic.
It does. Oh, so the chances of me being somewhere,
right,
eating bananas off the trees
or
right now,
organizing a daddy-daughter charity ball like we did last April.
are not going to happen. That is so cute.
Yeah, our next event is May 9th at Ardmark's Palace. If the universe wants us to have such a nice event again with 100 daddies and daughters and celebrating the special relationship between fathers and daughters while teaching them about philanthropic service, because this is it's called the Daddy-Daughter Charity Bowl for a reason.
It's lovely.
The net profits of the event, after we have fun, wearing our bow ties and our little ones are wearing their beautiful princess dresses, is to help another 3,000 kids, disadvantaged kids, go to take art lessons during the Art Safari Kids program. And hopefully Art Safari on its 7th edition will not be canceled, because that's $1 million event that will be very painful for Ardmark and all the other shareholders in it to have it canceled. So let's hope it happens. Yeah, this isn't Davos.
This isn't Davos. No, I was not in Davos. I saw you speak here at the Sheraton.
Yes.
At the
February
D10.
2017.
Yes, the D10. I was learning about the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I knew nothing, so I go to these things to learn. So you should tell us a little bit about it, for those of us who didn't know.
It's been down tremendously. Everybody's lost at least 25% of their holdings from last week or so. So this is the first time in the 10-year history of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that there's a direct correlation with what the traditional stock markets are doing. So a lot of people are saying that it's not prone to inflation, it's not prone to panic and to crisis, and it's an investment class. That's all that it is for now, today. That's what it is. So a lot of people are liquidating Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, to have money to buy certain things. A lot of people like me are afraid that bread is going to go up 10 times, and meat and everything else. So they're trying to conserve their cash.
Okay, now I have to tell you, I read something yesterday,
Yeah.
and this gentleman was directly involved. Now, Mike and I go back a long way, and we're going to talk about the different things we've done.
Yeah, we met 15 years ago.
We met 15 years ago. A lot has happened in between. So, yesterday I'm reading USA Today. Rockstar was bought by Pepsi for $3.8 billion, 8.5. He was the one, this gentleman brought Rockstar to Romania because I remember that.
Yeah.
That was 14
It was actually
years.
the first country with proper distribution outside of America
All
and
right, so
Canada.
we should tell them it's an energy drink, and the only one that's bigger now, I think, is Monster. At that time,
At that time, it was the second biggest.
It was Red Bull, wasn't it?
Red Bull was the biggest. Red Bull started in '83, became a big celebrity on the party scene all over America by 2000. So 17 years, it pretty much played a monopoly game. And then a friend of mine, Russell Weiner, who had tried different things in his life, working for tourism companies. He ran for Congress as a representative of San Francisco district area, and then worked for Sky Vodka, and then decided, I'm going to make an energy drink just like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. You could go to the fountain, but he couldn't get the mixes right. So eventually he created a competitor to Red Bull, but he was smarter. He put the American flag on it, called it Party Like a Rockstar, and he put a bunch of cities, party cities, Ibiza and Hong Kong and a bunch of other New York City cities on it, as if he had distribution, but he had no distribution anywhere other than 5 nightclubs in LA. And yes, he came to me and to many other people for $50,000 for 15% of the business to have the money to make the mold.
I'm just doing the numbers in my head.
Because he was a genius back then, and he said, I can't compete with Red Bull after 17 years of being a monopoly by putting the same can of 250 millis, or 8 ounces, at the same price or a lower price.
No, he put a bigger
so
can.
he doubled the size,
Yeah.
because the cost of production goes from 14 cents to 18 cents, so it's very marginal. Anyway, so that's how Rockstar started, and then 5 years later he gave the distribution for US and Canada to Coca-Cola, and he said, go kill yourself in any country you want to get distribution. And I tried about 18 different countries, and eventually I got distribution here in Romania through Interbrands. Rand Sheriff was the CEO at the time, and took a lot of knocking on his door to have a meeting with me, but yeah, then we brought it here. So it was a good story.
Who bought it out now? Wasn't it Pepsi?
Yeah, Pepsi bought it now, but in Romania it was distributed in 2006, 7, 8
and I read it yesterday.
by Interbrands.
I'm seeing Mike tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh my! This is like I remember all of this.
Well, a lot of people are
happening at that
against
time.
energy drinks, so I did see some comments of people saying this is a horrible product, it should never exist, but it does. I don't consume it. I've seen people's heart go a little crazy at different events. We were giving it out.
I have enough problems.
It's on the downtrend a lot. There's a lot more healthy drinks that have popped up. But the way I look at life, it's part of the evolution of certain products in the fast-moving consumer goods energy. It's just a drink that had its life. It does help you drive a little bit more without crashing if you need to. I don't recommend it necessarily, any of the brands, but it did evolve into a $13.5 billion industry last year.
Unbelievable.
So
that's a lot of money, people.
That's about 8% of Romania's economy last year.
That's a lot of
That's
money.
worldwide consumption.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, when I was living in LA, it was a thing called Jolt Cola.
I don't know.
I'm telling you because I was...
But that was just, when I was looking, a lot of people try to come back to Romania and repatriate themselves through but you have to have some business to bring you back, unless you want to get hired by one of the main corporations here. There's many companies here hiring Romanians that have gone abroad, studied, worked abroad, and they want to come back. But I was not interested to work for anyone, so I picked 4 different categories. One of them was actually a company called Moldex, which is the second biggest company that makes hearing and respiratory protection gear. So you just imagine what they're dealing with right now with their 1,000 employees, just pumping a lot of masks. But back then, a friend of mine, this was her husband, and he said, okay, if you want to help me get more distribution in Romania, I could help you get the license or help the licensee here expand. Another company was an anti-smoking product, which I remember talking to you about it because you smoke, and I want to make everybody on this planet stop smoking. And then another one was this energy drink, Rockstar.
Coming on.
No lecture. Just you do what you want. You're old enough to do what you want. And then there was a 4th company, which was one of the largest manufacturers of greenhouses.
I have to stop you right now.
Yes, that's...
I have to stop you right now. All right, let's...
I've done a lot of things that I've associated myself with some people that, for some reason, like to be controversial. Rockstar's owner is one of them. Trump is another one. I just wanted Romania to be over there at Miss Universe. 1.6 billion viewers. 183 countries air that product live. And then 3 more times over the next 6 months. And I'm an Israeli-American Romanian citizen, and Romania was not part of it for 11 years.
Okay, but
so
people don't know what you did, so I wanted you to tell the story.
I knocked on Trump's door through lots of emails and phone calls.
He knocked on Trump's door. You have...
Well, I know where he lives. I know where his office is. There's Google. There's things. So 2005, 6, 7, 8, 4.5 years. I just tried everywhere. And eventually, the wife of a friend from college who had done the makeup at Miss Universe, the photographer took a meeting with me. And then he told Paula Shigard, the president of Miss Universe, Mike's a good guy. Yeah. Oh, that crazy guy that's been telling me for 4.5 years that he wants the license. And then I got an email and I got it. And then I learned the hard way what it's like to deal with celebrities and to produce TV shows. Now, my wife's been doing TV shows as a producer and a TV host like you
we should talk
for
about
18
Valentina
years.
Ionescu's his wife, who I adore and think she's so lovely.
She also has a hyphenated name for the last 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But yes, her name is Valentina Ionescu, and then she's got a hyphen.
Okay,
Costache
so we'll
at the
show
end
her
of
picture.
it.
She's absolutely
she's
gorgeous.
got
And I noticed also that when you were talking about Romanians coming back, you have a book here.
This is a wonderful book
which
that
I wanted you to
Sandra
show.
Pralong, who's been now a senior advisor to the president of Romania on anything related to Romanians living abroad. She coordinated this book with 39 of us in 2008. We then didn't publish it in 2008 because the crisis came, so we took 2 more years. By 2010, we published it, and it's 39 amazing stories, about 7 pages per person, including my little story.
What do you talk about in there?
About why did you come back? What are you doing to help this country? Where do you see this country in 10 years? And it was a very
so, no,
positive.
answer those 3. Why
we
did
are
you
now
come
10
back?
years later.
Okay, give me the short version. Why did you come back?
I came back because my grandmother was 80 and I wanted to see her more often than every 3 years for a week.
Okay.
I came back because I was embarrassed going around the world with all my very, very well-to-do friends from my university whose parents were president of Honduras and vice president of Guatemala and the prime minister of Philippines, and people that just basically were at the top of either industries or governments in their own countries, and these were their kids. So every time I would have a discussion with them, they'd say, oh, let me give you this product to expand into Romania, or let me, tell me what's going on. And I said, I have no idea what's happening in Romania or Israel. Because I left when I was 11 from Romania, when I was 14 from Israel, and I was really not in touch. So it was like embarrassing for me at the age of 19 and 20 and 21 to travel the world 3, 4, 5 new countries a year and have nothing to say, because I knew nobody in this country besides my grandmother and 3 friends from kindergarten. So that's why I came back, and I came back for 10 days, and I went back for 10 days, and I came back for 10 days, and I went back, and then I came back for 10 days, and then I said, I'm going to stay here for as long as it takes to do 1 contract. And then I stayed about 15 years back and forth.
Yes, you've been here since. I think.
Yeah.
So, of all the places you've been, what's your favorite place to stay?
Mui Motu.
What?
It's a little island in French Polynesia. I was just there
of course,
3 weeks
I knew
ago.
That.
Yeah, it's a little island that a friend of mine owns that we're tokenizing, and many more people could benefit from staying in one of the 5 homes on it. My second favorite place, but my friend just sold it, is an island called Katafanga in Fiji. And that part of the world.
They all have very exotic names.
No, these are the
people.
only 2 islands. The only 2 islands.
Very exotic. I want to go to Patutata.
You asked me where,
but
and I'm
it
telling
sounds
you,
wonderful.
That part of the world.
Okay, how about I ask you where would the rest of us that we'd like to go that you...
You could go there.
Okay.
Nobody's, it's 8 hours from LA by flight. From here to LA is 16 hours. Yeah, this is when I was 13. This is the last day that Israel's bombed. Now, the reason why we know is the last day is because Saddam Hussein, after 17 days, finally said, tomorrow at 5 p.m. is the last time I'm bombing. So, it was a little crazy, and that's why we took that picture, because we realized, okay, we've survived 163 bombs. I had no idea it was 163 by then, but that's what CNN reported. And yeah, so this is my sister and my brother are laughing, or not laughing, but they look very at peace.
And you?
I am looking down because I was upset at my aunt. This is my uncle, because she wouldn't take the picture during it. First we took them off, and so it wasn't real. So then we had to put them back on just for the picture. Yeah. So I was upset that she didn't take it right when I told her, take it now. And she's like, no, the siren is still going. We may still die. I said, we're not going to die.
But wait a minute, you're supposed to be in a special room.
Yeah, well, in the beginning of the war, everybody would run down. Israel, every building and every house and every whatever has a bunker.
I know, every single one.
But after a few days, Israel, most of the buildings in Israel are 4 stories high, and they don't have an elevator, all of them. So a lot of old people or elderly people had issues going down the stairs, having heart attacks and so forth. So they said, okay, nobody go into the basement 4 or 5 times a day. Just stay in your room, put masking tape on your windows, put a cellophane on it, tape that up, close the door, tape the the door, and hopefully if there's any chemical gas, then it doesn't come into the room so fast.
Yeah.
Which was a placebo effect, if you think about it. The same way here in Chernobyl, back in 86, everybody was told, go to the local hospital. And I was here when that happened. I was, I think I was 9. And then everybody got a little pill, some iodine something, and had nothing, no real effect. Now that I'm watching the 8 episodes on Netflix about Chernobyl, I'm thinking how bad it was, Anyway, I think this world has survived enough crisis, enough crazy man-made or nature-made catastrophes, and I think we will continue to survive, and that's my main message, and that's why I'm here, instead of being at home like everybody else is at home right now, not even daring to come out of the house for any activity or any meeting.
Okay, you and I are a little bit different because we have a different point of view. That's what I noticed when I talked to you. It's a pleasure for me because also, you guys, you have to remember that I do come from outside, and I need to talk to another American to just, we have a different mindset and an exchange of ideas and exchange of opinions. So it's always a pleasure to sit with you.
But the greatest thing is I'll always agree to disagree with you.
I know. We do argue. Never mind. How did you get involved in the blockchain? Because I just saw a picture from
very simple. Like any other industry I've been involved in, and I've been involved with quite a few industries for the last 23 years. I hear things. I do little about it in the beginning, but then when I see someone that's close to me that has done something great in the industry, I jump on it. So if you remember that scene from that great movie by Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street, when the guy says, show me a check for $73,000, I'll quit everything I do. Well, that was me. A friend of mine made $3 million in 1 year from 20,000 bucks.
Phew.
And I say, show me right now, and I quit everything I do.
Okay, with friends like that, we have to.
And that was 9 of February 2016. The next day, 10th of February, I was having breakfast with Brock Pierce, who's the chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation.
Who I've met, actually.
We've met here in Bucharest. He was a party friend. I had maybe met him 10 times at parties before, for the last 4 or 5 years before that. And then I just didn't, I asked him for 1 hour, 9 a.m. He showed up on time. At 10 o'clock, there was no way I was going to let him go. At 3 p.m., I let him go. We had breakfast through lunch.
Yeah, okay.
And at the end, I said, now I have a headache. And I literally had a headache. And I said, what do I do now? He says, I don't know. Leave me alone. I got to go on my life. I said, where's the next event? He said, February 16th in Amsterdam. So I got on a flight, and I went to Amsterdam with him. And that was 4 years ago.
I want to tell you something I admire about you. Because I know you are persistent. He's like me like that. I have had, I wanted a meeting, and they're like, no, we have no time for a meeting. And I'm sending a calendar, pick a date, just mark an X. And I hammered the guy. I'm going to tell you all a funny story. So, it's going to be in the book, but I can tell it now. So, I was doing a charity event, my first charity event in London. And I was very lucky because the Bulgarian ambassador let me use the embassy. Right. And then he invited me one night to an event there, and they had this gentleman doing the master of ceremonies, and he was terrific. I said, who is this? That was the gentleman who was the Tatler editor at the time, who is now, by the way, running the Daily Mail. His name is Jordy Greig. And I said, oh, I have to ask him for my thing. When is your event? I said, I don't know yet. I don't have a date, but I'll arrange it. The poor man, I really think back now. I drove him nuts for 2 months. I hounded him. He finally agreed. I said, I want it in writing because nobody will believe me that, that he's agreed to do it. So I get everything arranged. We arrange the date, the night, everything. He calls him up like 6 o'clock. I said, oh my God. He says, I'm so sick. I said, I'm sending a car to pick you up. On his plate, champagne, vitamin C. I pumped him the whole night. He was such a star. And one day I'll see him and I will say, thank you so much. And he did the event, all right? As sick as he was. That's persistence, because everybody, you can't this, you can't that. And with me, what was the thing I wrote that you can't, there's no such thing as impossible, only if you make it impossible, okay? There has to be something you're going for, and that's what I see for you. You see something, you go after it.
Yeah, but after that,
wait, there's more.
It took a whole year before I did my first event. So it was reading for a whole year, doing other things, of course.
Yeah.
And then it took another 9 months before I made any real money in blockchain. So it was really a year of watching a friend who I didn't believe here, February 2015, now February 2016, he's saying, wow, here I made $3 million. Then 1 more year, and then another 9 months. So that's 2 years and 9 months from the time I said, I'm going to jump straight into this until I made the first $200,000 in one occurrence. So, you know,
would you do it again?
Of course I would.
Okay,
of course I would.
You have that adventurous spirit. And
listen, there was a market called the cryptocurrency market.
I know.
And it was $8 billion. And I said, how did this happen? January 2nd, 2008 was the first Bitcoin transacted. Now here I am in 2016, thinking 7 years just flew by me, and there's an industry that has an $8 billion market cap. And it's liquid. If I buy now, I could sell now. So it's liquid, right? Of course I'm gonna jump in if I see 8 billion. So you know what happened for the next 24 months? It went from 8 to 839 billion. That's 100 times fold in 24 months. Now that wasn't rational. It wasn't really good because a lot of people got in for greed, right? And then it went down to 100 billion, and now it's at 200 billion today, right? So, you know, and 7 days ago, it was 263 billion at my last post about 4 years that I've been in this business. So you got to have the heart to suffer all this.
You have to have the stamina and the patience. I mean, when I see how people
information that comes to our ears and our eyes and our bodies through energy, right? What's information, right? It's just energy that comes to us, right? It just depends what you do with it. You either see it as wisdom, or you see it as something that turns into depressing you and your body cells. So it's really your choice. If you're intelligent, or you think you're intelligent, then use that information and classify it as wisdom, right?
I like the way you said that. Are you guys listening? Isn't this nice?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, keep talking. Yeah. We're listening.
What else do you want to talk about?
No.
You want to talk about one of my favorite people?
Yes, I know you were involved with
this was an amazing man. I was very, very grateful to have met him on many, many occasions. One of the greatest times, he called me up and said, let's go test drive Maseratis. And that was a great time.
Okay, stop. Okay, so I know you were also at Maserati for a while. That's why I met you.
Yeah, I had a contract between my company and Auto Italia, which was the importer of Maserati and many other brands, and I was entrusted for 40 months to manage that brand and grow it and brand it and help deliver some cars to a few people who deserve them. People say, how many cars did you ever sell? I said, I never sold a car. How many planes did you ever sell? I represented Warren Buffett's NetJets company. I said, I never sold any planes, I never sold any cars. I said, what do you mean? You were the country manager of Maserati Romania, you were the head of Eastern Central Europe for NetJets. I said, no. I had people buy private jets and buy cars that I was able to help them deliver. So what do you mean? Well, luxury is very simple. Luxury can never be sold, right? Luxury is presented, you invite the right people, you make them salivate. 80–90% of people buying luxury are anyway aspirational people, but it's okay, because everybody has to get there sometimes. And then they buy when they can afford it, and when it's the right timing. If you try to sell anything luxury, including a friendship or relationship with someone, it's never going to work. So it's all about positioning. Position it, whether it's yourself or it's a product, and then you hope that you position it the right place, the right time with the right people, and you said the right thing, and then you wait.
I remember him trying to sell me one.
I never try to sell you anything.
No, not sell me. He suggested, and I said, Mike, I have to be honest, I don't have the need for speed. And I do remember you took my cousin for a tour when I had the bar, and he came back.
My only comment was, why would you want to drive a Mercedes S-Class for the same price as a Maserati Quattroporte, whereas thousands of people have that car and only less than 100 people have this car?
No, I know.
It's about exclusivity. It's about positioning. That's it.
When you're single, you can think about something. When you have a child, forget it.
I have a child.
You are,
yeah.
Well, okay.
She's somewhere in these pictures. I didn't include too many of them, but she's in some of these pictures. I have a child. I understand how it is. So I was
like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. We're fine. So we went down. I remember one fun weekend we had when they were doing the regatta.
Regatta, yes.
You remember the regatta in Euphoria Nord?
Yeah.
And we stayed at the Europa Hotel, and I'm not going to tell the story because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but Valentin and
Why? Oh, we talked about it was babies, because you were at an age where you said, I need to have a baby. And I remember...
No, but I didn't have one at that time.
I know, but within a year you had one, because you conceived, planned, and you attempted.
My life changed so much, you know?
Yes.
Again, it's the energy and the thoughts.
Yes.
And I, set my mind, because literally I had the bistro.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, you want baby or bistro? And I had to I was older, and I had to make a decision. And I was so glad finally you guys went ahead and did that.
No.
And I don't want to say it was because of me, but I was encouraging. I said, she's such a lovely girl. You know, the two of you are such a lovely couple. They were at my house. And I was like, there's a few people that I really am, you know, I think of as lovely couples, and you guys are one of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Which is very nice. I wanted to say, Valentina, we miss you.
She's watching us.
See, I figured, so I wanted to say hello to her.
Yeah.
So you've done, I mean, people ask, what have you done? So entrepreneur, you've done the helping with all the charities, which I did a lot of that in London.
Just a dozen or so.
And I don't know about you, but I find now for myself, I always did different charities when I was living in London. I had a lot more time and I spent. Funnily enough, even though I didn't have a child then, I still did children's charities.
Yeah.
I did UNICEF and I did one for the incubators in the hospitals. But now I'm actually think I'm more geared towards kids' charities. Do you feel like that? Do you find that? Or
Yeah, I've always just liked children for as long as I remember.
It's a bigger focus for me now.
I've always known that, but now I feel it. There's a big difference between what I used to say, think, and do before I had a child and afterwards.
That's my point.
Before I would do it because it was interesting. It was like I want to see the happiness on those children's faces, and I would see older people. And I was a part of a charity that for until now, in 18 years, the Blue Heron Foundation has raised $2 million from over 1,000 donors and has helped over 3,000 kids with scholarships in high school and college in Moldova and Romania. And that money comes from all over the world, mainly LA, New York, and Romania. But it is an important charity that survived 18 years and is thriving actually. So we first started giving out clothes and vitamins and toys, and we realized those things are going to be gone in a week or two or whatever, right? There's no way to monitor what happens to all of our effort. Then we started building playgrounds, and Steven Spielberg's wife gave us $5,000, and we put we were allowed to call the playground in Rupa for 67 kids the Spielberg playground. After a year, we had to take it down because too many people had applied to get donations from Spielberg's wife's charity. And then we realized, okay, let's invest in computer labs in all these orphanages and placement centers. And then it was impossible to implement computer labs. It was too costly. And so then we said, okay, I got a scholarship at Pepperdine. And I said, Stefania Magidson, the president and founder, said, you got a scholarship to go to college. Why don't we give scholarships? It was like an aha moment while driving in the car, being stressed about what do we do with the next 100,000 we're going to raise. And then we gave scholarships, and some of the scholarship recipients have graduated and now have jobs and families, and now they give their time back and some money as well.
I love that. Yeah. I love giving back. I think it's
so. We have Lucian Mustață, who has 6 employees, does about 200,000 euros a year in business, an IT company, and he gives money back to the charity and to others. He even set up his own charity, teaching parents how to be better parents. And he doesn't even have any children, but he's getting ready for it.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've gone through all these different things. What's the next step for you?
Well, I did take a year off and did almost nothing other than hang out with my daughter and my wife and very, very few friends. And every idea that I had during that year, I just threw it out of my mind. And that was about 8 months ago. I went back into traveling and back into enacting upon all the crazy ideas that come to me or that other people bring to me. So I did experience what it's like to do nothing for a year other than wake up when you want,
okay,
go to the
and what's
park,
that like? I'd like to
decide
know.
January 4th, okay, I am bored. I'm going to take my daughter to ballet classes, and then I'm going to create with my friends Josh Burke from the U.S. Embassy and Valentin Văcăruș from Godmother Agency. We're going to create the annual Daddy-Daughter Charity Bowl because we can.
It's a lovely idea,
and then we packaged it, and of course we then executed on it, and now we're going to do it bigger and
How about
better.
mother and son ball?
Go ahead.
No, I have no time.
I don't have a son yet, so until my wife gives me a son, I'm not organizing
I would love
any.
to do a lot of things, but I'm so pressed for time to finish my projects.
Exactly what everybody said, as I was asking to join on the organizing committee.
I can't, and I honestly.
Okay, I respect your time, but
no, I did listen. I did plenty of.
But everybody who doesn't have daughters says, "Can you organize a mother-son charity
I would
bowl?"
love to do mother. I don't even know. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't ask you because I probably wouldn't even be able to attend. That's the honest truth. So I should just keep quiet because I wouldn't have time.
Well, you should make time.
Right,
At least
I know.
It's a 4-hour commitment. Come
all
on,
right.
you
well,
could
no,
do
if
it.
it just happened to be the right time.
Right. So what's next is.
What's next?
It's remaining calm.
Where are we going to see? Where am I going to read about you? Where am I going to find out?
I don't know. For now, it's remaining calm and providing that calmness to other people who are panicking, because right now there's very little certainty. So there's no plans other than spend no money, which is really bad for the economy. It's a very bad message, but I just don't have a better message. Curse the governors of each country less, because it doesn't help to just vet on Facebook. I was reading about a very successful friend of mine who runs a big payment company saying, bad things to every political party, and I almost wanted to call him as I drove here, tell him, look, it doesn't help. Just do something, So I don't know what's next, and that's the honest truth.
There's enough negative energy going around.
Yeah.
Listen, I told you I was in the mall today. It was really, it's nobody's there.
But what is happening
Terrible.
is a conscious awakening of the world and of the human beings on this planet at a very, very fast rate. Until now, there were people awakening consciously, little by little. A lot of people think they're consciously living, but they're not. They're robots. They just don't know yet. And it's not their fault. They just haven't reached that level. The surrounding around them hasn't allowed them. Just like me, for 40 years, I wasn't consciously living. I was just like a robot. Go to school, do this, put more information in your brain, produce more contracts, more deals. And I was a very transactional type of a person. I was very criticized by a lot of people, but it didn't really bother me until I had a daughter. And now as she got to start reading, even though she's only 4, and as she will start being influenced by what other people say about me, I have to be really careful. So I had a conscious awakening just about a year ago on many, many levels of what I do. And that is really what's happening now. People are going to be nicer to each other during this period, just like after 9/11, if you recall.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying, no, please, you go first. Nobody was giving fingers to each other on the street. Everybody was loving each other, not just in America, but throughout the world.
But that is so sad.
But that went away within a month. No,
this is what happens
within
when
a month
there is
it went away.
A trauma. And you know what? We've now had the whole thing, all of this up until now.
Shakespeare said it best.
What?
I must be cruel to be kind.
Right.
So the universe is being cruel to us, but it's being kind to us.
But we've been cruel to the universe. Listen.
Exactly.
Up until all of this, the whole thing was global warming and the climate change. Now all of a sudden the focus has gone immediately because now this is even closer and hitting people
Nora,
in a different way.
The focus now is survival.
Exactly.
It's not global warming. It's not Bitcoin.
But you see, a month ago it was completely different.
This government versus that government. All this conspiracy theories are all good. They should all go and quit what they're doing and make movies and documentaries. Everybody has a great conspiracy theory about Trump trying to do this so he could win. All those are great, great conspiracies. I listen to all of them. I give them grades from 0 to 100, literally in my brain. Like every one of my friends that I respect, I literally look at what they're saying, and then I give a grade from 0 to 100, and I move on. And that's how I form my opinion, right? And I don't state any of these crazy conspiracy theories because I could easily do that. But why? They don't help anyone.
What does it accomplish?
Until I have the ultimate truth of something, which we will never have the ultimate truth of most things in life, there's no reason to be so convicted about this is why this is happening. The religious segment of the population believes this is 100% God's hand. Other people that believe in plant medicine believe this is the universe speaking out. The people that are very consciously breathing and walking through this planet believe this is very good, what's happening. Yes, it's always at the cost of some.
So what's your parting words to tell everybody?
My parting words is drink a lot of water.
Okay, I agree.
Be good to each other.
Be kind. Everybody says it. Be kind.
It's very fashionable now to be kind.
No, it should never be. It's something that should be done automatically. But if we have to remind people,
it's true.
Be kind. Take care of one another. We have one earth and we are only here for so long.
And let's not forget, if in a month from now we come out of this catastrophe, let's not go rushing back into
our things.
Being rabbits.
I want to say thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you.
Mike, for coming and for enlightening us. Have a good evening. See you all next week. Ciao.
Thank you.